I'm going to call this meeting of the Citizen Involvement Committee to order on April 15th, 2021 at 6:02 p.m. And we're going to, since I'm the only person who is actually required to be here, I will call roll call, and I am here. And I'm going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. In order to begin the meeting, anyone who wants to join in can go ahead. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I think I messed that up.
Nope, it was perfect.
Okay. Sorry, this is the first time I've led it. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this kind of like a large public input. This is being recorded and streamed via YouTube. What this is for citizen involvement and for citizen input to the council. This video will be available to the council. And when minutes are written up, the minutes will be given to the council as a report of how the citizens are feeling on particular issues. The agenda item tonight is Gold Hill, a tourist or a family town going forward. What do the citizens want? So I ask that everyone be conscious of everyone else's time to speak. If someone is monopolizing, I will ask that you let the next person speak. I know that John Groom was in here first. I'm not sure if he's wanting to speak tonight. Mr. Groom, if you can let me know if you would like to speak tonight.
His microphone is red and I think. No, it says no.
Just listen. All right, then Miss Christine Alford was the next person to speak. If you could state your name and your address for the record, and then you can speak.
Christine Alford, 292 2nd Avenue. And I was planning on doing more listening. Of course, the people would have to show up. I guess my first thing would be, let's have a real meeting next time. The weather is beautiful. We could have, and I think if we could meet outside and not be, sandbagged, that might work better.
I will definitely take that into consideration. I know that they are loosening COVID restrictions, and as more and more people get their vaccinations, so we can definitely try to have it maybe outside not next month, the month after. This is a bi-monthly meeting, unless citizens call for a meeting before then.
I know that Patty Gordon got a hold of me earlier today and said that Jan at the One Stop Real Estate, and they would both like to be involved in land use planning, which is these issues, because Jan is smart. That's what I've heard, that she's really smart, and she's a real estate agent, and she's moved in town. So she was frustrated before because she lived outside of town, but everybody exhausted themselves with the water line break yesterday. Or the other day, 2 days ago. Pretty exciting stuff.
I know that a number of committees are being put together. The Planning Commission is required for permits and things like that. We can make a request of the council to see whether or not they would like to put a land use planning specifically about like comprehensive plans and things like that together for citizen input. I think that might be a good idea.
Who's at the Planning Commission?
The Planning Commission is required, and the head of the Planning Commission, I believe, is Wendy Brown.
And she noticed that we weren't operating under a comprehensive plan? That's good. That means she knows.
No, that didn't come from Wendy Brown. I'm saying that we can put a citizen committee together specifically for those plans that we do not currently have.
I talked to some people in county planning today looking for some resources to train, just to bring citizens to speed. A lot of, functioning cities have kept their citizen involvement committee going over the years. So they have a body. They didn't have to argue for 3 years to get a meeting scheduled. Which I just,
Well, Christine, I mean, would you like to make your statement?
talk to myself?
Well,
No.
I mean, you can talk to me, and Jessica's here, and Mr. Groom, and it looks like Counselor Rigney is also here. So,
Yeah, Deb's going to show in a few minutes. I don't know if who's going to come down here. Really, when I just started, looking at it, and I realized that, even the counselors who come on, if they haven't been involved in municipal government before, they don't even know they're supposed to be operating off of a comprehensive plan. That is a plan that involves a lot of public input and public outreach. And when they're comprised, the facilitators are obligated to go out. I remember when we did the periodic reviews, there was one lady who facilitated it. She couldn't get enough public input. She went door to door to make, because she felt that was her job, that was what she was being paid for, and the outreach. And I think the last time there was widespread public involvement in anything was probably the Parks Master Plan. And it did have a lot, it had a lot, but what happened was, so you had a comprehensive plan, and you can look at ours and you can see how old, and it is really outdated. I don't agree the charter is outdated. I do agree that the master plan, but the way you kept it updated was that every couple of years you had a periodic review, and you were mandated to have a periodic review, and the state paid there was a stipend. It wasn't very much money, but it went to, in our case, it went to our COG planner, who was Dick Converse, and he came in and he worked with planning and he worked with the people who cared about it, and you got a periodic review that was an update on housing, buildable lots. It had, numbers in it. And well, you'd have to go find one and see. They were, and so then the state said they pulled the mandate for cities. I think it was cities under either 1,000 homes or 1,000 people. And so we never even saw the end of that periodic review when that money was, and they withdrew their money at the same time. And so they had the periodic review, which was a credible land, map, it disappeared too. It just, people were like, oh, good, we don't have to do the periodic review anymore. That's like saying, oh, good, throw the map out the window, so we can drive without one. And so, in a way, it's not fair. The counselors who come on, they don't get training. It is their fault that they didn't ask for training, though. They've had years now. I haven't seen, since the LOC training, I don't see any training. I don't see any training for planning, which is a critical thing. They should have, you pick up the phone, you call Joshua Bombard down at LCDC. Now you can't get a hold of him because he's up to his eyeballs in fire recovery. But the last time he offered the city training tapes for planning, nobody, they just didn't pick it up.
I do know that there was training offered this last year for new counselors. It was at LOC training. Again, it was online due to COVID, but I know that the new counselors were offered, and I believe they attended.
Well, you could fool me. I mean, this little, if they're gonna hire and fire and chop people's heads off willy-nilly like that, that's the reason in the past why we've had to form our own ad hoc public works committee, so that there were some eyes on it the whole time, working down a checklist, so that City Hall can And council can go off and, you know, have their, whatever it is they're doing, okay? But there's this group of people who sort of are always there. And they were serious people. It was an ad hoc committee, and we knew where we were on the plans. And so if somebody got their head lopped off, lose the city manager, lose the recorder, lose the public work director, you still knew, you know, where there were critical plans, you know. But even then, you can find a council that totally ignores you, which is why the Riverbend plan expired, and we had to pay another $250,000 for the last wastewater master plan. That was just a redo because they dropped the ball. So I totally appreciate everything Jessica's done, but they never should have let go of Harry Stave. They just sank us they didn't get rid of Harry Stave and then pick up the ball themselves. They just got rid of Harry Stave. You know, and he would have known why we're not getting anywhere. He would have understood, you know, that we just missed 15 years of urban growth boundary. And I'm pretty sure that, you know, anybody in real estate knows what that means. To have properties outside the city that have been waiting to annex in. You know. So that's my, you know, I think 3 points: training, training, and training.
Training is always good. So I will see, I will move on and see if Councillor Rigney has anything that he would like to say as we wait for more people to join. Councillor Rigney, is there anything that you would like to contribute, or are you just here to view for the evening? Okay, I think I heard a faint no. Okay, then we're, unless you have, I mean, you have the floor, Christine, and until somebody else comes in to make themselves heard.
I'm curious to know why, you know, people didn't show up. They were really expecting this meeting. I think we should have it outside. I think people don't want to do this. I mean, like they want to sit. I've noticed on the meetings at the council that there's more people, but they're just watching, you know. And it hasn't been, you know, it's been like this for a long time. One group of people can dominate in City Hall. And the real shame was, you know, like, I appreciate those people that were sitting in City Hall, you know, in the meeting the last time, you know, when Harry was getting the shaft. And they all knew they were being lied to. Why didn't they stick up for him? You know, that would have made a huge difference to this town. You know, they should have stuck up for him. They knew they were being lied to about why he was being let go, and they just, you know, and that's a shame. I never got that. I don't get that. Hi, Deb. Here's Deb. She has something to. This is, yes, the meeting. Mm-hmm. But none of the people that we were tagging, none of the people who said they wanted to come showed up. So it's just like this here. Oh, you and Danielle? Yeah, pretty much Marvin. Not Marvin. Just because listening. He's not really. Yeah. And a guy named Bill Groom, and he's watching too, and he's not talking. So. Well, that's yes. Yeah, people have their, you know, these are the people who actually, because we're trying to get the people who are not retired and not sitting around their house doing nothing all the time. And, you know, they have kids and they have families. Yeah, I totally hear it. They want to, you know, like I'm disappointed Maria isn't here because she was thank you. You want something to say? You want me to? It's nice and cool in here. I brought a fan. Oh, here, this was nice to be plugged in. Maybe she's, I don't know what she has to say.
What I have to say? What I have to say is probably going to end up work. being deleted because I am so angry right now. This Citizen Involvement Committee is something resurrected about what, 3 years ago? Yeah, and we had a few meetings. And that was when Lisa Tognoli was still here. She chaired a couple of the meetings. And it was wonderful because it gives a voice to the people that is done via the LTDC, I think is what got this started. And now that's where we need to think about our power, is the LTDC will give us the avenue to keep them from ruining our property values, stealing our properties from us, trying to turn us into an HOA. I mean, these are the ridiculous things I'm hearing. You know, they want us to be like Jacksonville. We're not like Jacksonville, and we never will be. You know, we're not Jacksonville, we're Gold Hill. And we have a unique history here, a wonderful, unique history. And we need to, the Applegate Trail passes right through Lampman Park. The area of the river that they argue over is a sacred area for the Indian tribes, who won't even come here because it's been spoiled and polluted by the money grubbers. They go over to Applegate now. They won't do their salmon ceremony here anymore. And I'm not even going to name names. You know, those who know, they know who they are. And I will always stand up for the tribes. This ticks me off that the tribes have even been driven off. You know, I don't know, the cement plant even has an interesting history. Did you know there's a fantastic monument over at the cemetery for that cement plant from back at the beginning? This town has wonderful history that we need to be emphasizing at Gold Dust Day. But we've got a bunch of people that are in charge of Gold Dust Day now that don't even know the history of Gold Hill, and they are being kind of silly about that because they are talking to and trying to bring all these people outside of the city that don't have anything to do with our town to have influence here. And they need buy property on this side of the river. I love those people in on the other side of the river that do the no, not the church. No, that group.
The river?
No. Oh, I hate it when my memory goes bad. No,
And
but anyway, they're a wonderful group, and they try to do good things for Gold Hill, but they end up can do. Thank you. They get misguided information, and they don't hear from the people that live in town as much as they should. Yeah, and they mean well, and they do a good job when they have the proper guidance. I really love Can-Do for that. I am disappointed when they get misguided, because when it comes to the ballot box, everybody, that's when we vote them in and vote them out. These idiots that are in the city council right now, and you know who you are, and you all gave me, never mind, I'm not going there. You know what you said and did.
No, the neat thing about the land use planning laws is that it really is a model for people for a fair playing field. They go to a lot of trouble to, if you read them, they create a fair playing field, and that's what's never been in Gold Hill. So if you can't get people to come to this meeting, one of the elements is that it was posed as you had get together and be against something. Not so. When the people went to the river meeting, they came back and they said that there were people mugging around out there going, "Where's the opposition? Where's the opposition?" You should be able to have an opinion in this town, regardless of what it is, without meeting that kind of. It's just no class, really. Everybody. I'm not afraid of listening to anybody else's opinions, and I don't like the group think and the bully think, and it's hurt the town. It's made a lot of people not want to be involved at all. I know who private emails me all the time to get information on subjects. they wouldn't have their name on anything around here. They've had one little foray at City Hall 20 years ago and had their names dragged down because they wanted like a code enforced, a planning code enforced, and that person isn't listening, but she knows who she is, you know. But there's a lot of people, and they just stand back because this is how they were treated. I'm just ornery enough to not care, you know. And eventually, a council like this, who, you know, some of the people, not all of them, not Mr. Studebaker, not Malia, who's there, you know, not Mr. Rigney, really. He didn't cheat his way in there. But the other ones, they bullied their way into those seats, and they were never held accountable because there's no ethics, there's no complaint, there's no way to make an ethics complaint. And now they didn't learn the job. They didn't learn the job. Brad Studebaker, he has goodwill. I don't believe I believe he has goodwill towards other people. So, but the other thing is just, it's been the plague of the city is that, you know, they get in a group and there's never any evidence that basically that everybody, you know, agrees with that. I could not tell you what the people in this town want regarding that.
So for guidance to the council, is there a better way that the council can reach and get opinions from the citizens here in Gold Hill?
Well, right now, they have a lot of stuff that they've just blown off. We want to know, I mean, I have a huge ethics complaint that needs to be filed against the people who facilitated Denise Gomez taking off with $60,000 of our money. That was our money. And they don't even have it, you know, give us a nod. They shut down the ethics committee. I mean, they won't let anybody on the ethics committee. All their spouses try to get on the ethics committee. I mean, yeah, they need some credibility. They don't have any credibility. And the people who hang around who know who know what they are but still think it'll work, they've generally been proven to be wrong repeatedly over and over again. You know, that they don't. If they start out like this, the best predictor of what a person or a group will do is what they have done in the past. So right now, a city manager needs you get a city manager in here. He is still going to be under Tony Wilson and Janet Wilson's thumb, just like we saw Harry. I mean, who now wouldn't wish that we kept Harry and got rid of Janet and Tony? That was sitting in that room that night.
I met Tony. He came into City Hall one day. This was before he was hired. This was back when we had Vonna as our city recorder.
Mm-hmm.
And he came in with a resume, and I'm looking at it, and I said, "Go give that to Vonna." I said, you might work out really well here. Mm-hmm. And for the first few weeks, he did. I don't know what happened after that. All I know is all of a sudden, the tables were turned, and I don't know why. I never did know. All I can say is that Tony, I am very disappointed in you. I don't know what the heck happened and why you suddenly lost interest in the best interest of this town. So there.
What happened really was as soon as I understand what Deb's saying, because the people in this town are so nice to people when they come here. Everybody was like, "Oh, Tony, hi. Look, there's a guy. He's got some energy. You know, he's worked for the city." Everybody was really nice to him. And when Mr. Palmer, nobody knew who he was. Nobody I knew who he was. Wanted to get on the council, appointed to the council. Shannon Tolman wanted to be appointed to the council. Sure, come on the council. Let's try to get you some training, you know. And Shannon, oh, good, you know, here's some energy and everything. As soon as they figured out that the three of them plus Zach Dell was a majority, they just went after everybody and just ripped everything, you know, just tore the city up, lied about Chris Stanley, lied about the employers, and ended up, you know, and closed City Hall to anybody but themselves, and ended up getting, their little inside person that was Denise Gomez, and never had to answer to it because they were a majority. And they've worked like that ever since. We're a majority, who cares? When the very first meeting in January, I guess it was 2019, and if I think I'm right about that, that would have been the first year, and the subject was rezoning the Grange, okay? And so all the people around there, every person who came testified at that public hearing, and they were against it, and they had solid reasons. Water pressure was a real reason, that you don't increase density when the people who have been sitting there paying their taxes, paying their water bill, paying on the bonds, don't have water pressure. Some other guy comes into town, and Janet Wilson told us, well, we're going to be doing things different. They gave him the zone change. Technically, if those people had known, that they could have gone to LUBA and they could have overturned it, because public testimony in a hearing like that weighs more than the council majority. They're not allowed to just go, screw you guys, which is what they did. That was their first meeting. Many of them had never been in a meeting. None of them had had planning training. There was no effort to go by any of the rules against spot zoning is something that was looked down on. Also, when you take a piece of rare property, rare being quasi-public or county or light industrial, the rule was if you took a piece of land, parks, quasi-public, if you took it out of that zone, you had to replace it with something in the town. Not them, because they're going to do something new. What, run the city when you don't know anything? That isn't that new. Okay. It's really all most people don't, if they don't want to be involved in politics, which most people don't, they trust that somebody is following the rules. And my point was that I don't even know anybody voted for him, but the point is that the conversation that is encouraged through the LCDC setting, the Citizen Involvement Committee, that is a model basically for the fair play that people want in City Hall. And that would be a really important reason to get it, because that was a platform that had built-in outreach. They want, and good government wants to accommodate the needs of the broadest spectrum of the people who live in a town. Not let's get in a group so we can get everything we want and tell everybody else. It's just creepy, People are sick of it.
And so I would ask, since you are the two that are attending this evening and the agenda item is family versus tourist town, where would you like the council to place our focus and emphasis going forward?
On families. And the reason I say this, and I'm a tourist person, anybody and everyone that knows me knows I have been an events planner for 30 years. So I know this industry inside and out, the tourism, the hospitality, the events, all of that. And right now, that industry is in free fall. It's almost dead. There's very few places. In fact, I'm saying that takes the heat off of trying to do anything else, because it's not going to happen. Until this pandemic is done, none of that is happening. So the main thing we can do is to take care of the town, to take care of our infrastructure. And I'm not talking about, and I'm sorry if this insults some politicals, because I am nonpartisan, okay? But Biden's definition of infrastructure is hogwash. Infrastructure is the nuts and bolts stuff that's in the ground that we use and have used, and a lot of it is aging and falling apart. And we have, everywhere in the country, but aging infrastructure. And that's where we got kicked in the pants the other day. there are valves in places we don't even know about in this town because it's so old. Now, there's been a lot of mismanagement with the water and the sewer management. Those, the valves and the maps and all that stuff is all missing, out of date, whatever. What we need, and I'm just hoping that Jessica is going to, I'm supportive of this, Jessica. Here's what I want. I want our infrastructure to be our top priority right now. And for Jessica to pull RVSS and Southern Oregon Water Technology together to get every valve, every pipe, everything labeled and labeled with phone numbers so that when somebody gets a wild hair and they want to build something and they don't think that they have to go out and do a locate, thank you. And that this has to be done so that if the locate done, that's fine. How come RVSS and SOWT didn't know? You know? Exactly.
Whoever the did not know that.
Okay. Okay.
And what happened to later? You know, that paving over the phone 6 years ago wasn't that good. Yeah, I mean,
That was a previous city manager, so, but we can move on now. And the most important part is for Jessica to get with her infrastructure people, the public works people. And I'm not talking about Tony. Tony is in charge of the parks. He is not authorized to do anything with the water and the sewer. He doesn't have the training. He doesn't have any of the certifications. He has nothing, you know? But, you know, and he's had plenty of time to go out and get those certifications. You can get those classes. It's not that big a deal. But he has done nothing to make himself more capable for this town. And I'm not trying, this is not dog on Tony night. No. It really isn't, because I really like that guy and I really wanted him to be successful here. I don't know what happened, but let's back up for a minute. What really needs to be done is everything needs to be labeled so that anybody else gets a wild hair to build something or do something knows they need to call those phone numbers or they're going to be in deep yogurt. That's all there is to it. They just need to do it. And because our town needs to grow up, we need that infrastructure working. We need the policies and procedures in place. You know, I wish that the people that are in charge of that stuff here would go talk to the guys in Central Point. Central Point is so well organized in growing their town and getting things going in the right direction. We should be sitting in on their city council meetings and paying a lot of attention to how they do what they do, because they do a really good job over there. I've been to some of their meetings when I was on the council. I've been to the LOC meetings and other meetings, and they're a wonderful example here in the valley of planning. They really are. They really are. And we need to take a page out of their book and get our planning department put together.
Yeah, the planning committee is not a planning department. A planning committee has a really narrow scope. They're a quasi-judicial body that rules on a handful of things. They can facilitate, you know, I mean, that'd be great if they had people on there that wanted to facilitate it. But yeah, there's no real planning. It's slipshod. And so I don't know. The question is the direction the town should go. I guess I wouldn't have put family versus tourism, because I don't believe they're antagonistic towards each other. I think the business district of this town is a natural organic forest trap, okay, or tourist attraction. I know just from any time when I'm open, you know, when I'm selling, that I can't keep up with it. Okay, I can't keep up with it. I dread, you know, putting my house, giving them that kind of access, having to deal with with people, whether they're stopping or buying, and so that's how much traffic there is. And the rafting is a natural too. None of those businesses needed Gold Hill City Council to stick their nose in their business. That's the reality. They, the guy in the gas station, nobody's coming here. The successful businesses in this town never came in, and Del Rio, they didn't come to City Hall, with a hat in their hand. They had their stuff together. Rogue rafting, they didn't come to City Hall and ask those guys. Those guys are not, nobody hired or voted for them so that they could run the business district. That is its own separate entity. It's better off without city interference. And if city council would stop giving the town black eyes, I'll tell you one thing. If I was somebody like Stacey Macy, who's getting up and opening my door on the main street of the town, trying to build her business like she was, and you wake up one day and you've got another big black eye from the Gold Hill City Council's antics, the people in this town are not the people who have given this town the trouble. It's all come out of City Hall, and it continues to this day. Audacity of them thinking that it's time for them to target the citizens with their $250 fine when they're, when I've been asking for 2.5 years to have these trees taken off my roof that are destroying my roof. And they think it's funny. I can show you right now. I can go out with a shovel and dig up a storm drain that hasn't been cleaned all summer, all winter. It's thick with mud. Probably get Deb to do it. And I will show you the damage to the street that has been allowed for that water to pile up. It was done deliberately. They've fixed all of the road except for this road. They cut it off right there. They screw my neighbor just to get at me. This is what goes on in this town. And the fact that these people are some of these people just absolutely should never have any authority over anybody else. They're too childish to wield it. And that storm drain out there is a perfect example. It's thick with mud. It's never been cleaned all winter. And it has left a puddle of water destroying the street. And not for just 1 year. Not for just 1 year. This is about 5 years running. They can't clean. They won't refuse to come out and clean that little storm drain out there, which is, and the water goes across there and the traffic goes and it just destroys it. The reason that road is patched right now is because the last time ODOT came through, they had mercy and poured a bunch of cement in it. Otherwise, it was a hole so deep that cars were banging. We saw a guy bang his head one time going through there on the top of his car. And I thought, wow, they could get sued. But until I don't know what to do about that element. I really don't know what to do about that element, except to try to. I think that when we're through here, we should take all the people who want to come to the Citizen Involvement Committee and maybe get them on a phone tree, have an outdoor meeting, and not just, and I would like to get somebody from the county, I wish the county on their initiative had brought people in. There's people that have been in this valley for so long. Their names are synonymous with good planning, like Kelly Madding. Those people love to share their stuff, But,
speaking of people who wanted to attend, there is somebody who came in, and I want to ask Elizabeth whether or not she would like to speak this evening, or is she just here to listen?
Yes, hi. Sorry, it's hard to find the unmute button.
If you could state your name and your address for the record, and then you can proceed with what you would like to say.
Okay. Elizabeth Butterfield, 11427 Blackwell Road. Yes, so I think it is imperative for the safety of our little town that it stay family oriented and little. The tourism part has taken care of itself up to now, and I don't think it needs a boost. People are coming to our town all summer long, all by themselves, without any kind of fancy parks or any big businesses. our appeal is that we are small. And I think it's best we stay that way.
Are there any family-oriented projects that you would specifically like to see City Council plan for or concentrate on?
Well, family oriented. Well, since we're talking so much about the parks, at our cute little sports park, there's more toys for the dogs than there are for the kids. I mean, not the library park. That one's awesome. My daughter loves it. She's 2. But the sports park out there is just swings, and then there's the basketball courts and the tennis courts. If possible, it'd be nice to install some toys for the younger kids.
Okay, yes, I can mention that at the next Parks Committee meeting. I can talk to them about maybe focusing on kids a little bit more and and what they're doing out there, and eventual long-term planning. I think that would be really great. Since there are 3 people here and I wasn't sure how many people would show up, you guys can treat this more like a conversation than a public input section and talk to each other if you'd like. I expected there to be more people. So
Who is is that a person that says Gold Hill with the bridge?
that is Marvin, who is
okay.
streaming on the back end.
Okay. Because Zach Dell has a thing. Actually, a really good idea that had been kicked around and ignored for a long time was, and that this for all the people who want to organize things, that a platform for using the parks is a recreation department. And a recreation department doesn't have to be anything more than the model that Central Point has. It doesn't need a building. What it is the city hall facilitating people that come in. They may teach a class, they may have arts and crafts for the kids in the summertime, and the kids pay for the kids pay the instructor. You just have to look at the Central Point model. It's just cute. Now somebody that does something, they come in, but it's facilitated through City Hall, and City Hall would have like I think they have tents and things. They put them out and in the summer, and older people too. They can have yoga, whatever people like to do in the parks. Or it doesn't have to be in the parks. It can facilitate, and it doesn't need building. It needs its organization, and that is a really neat idea that fell by the wayside. And there was another council. They spent their whole time, whatever they're doing, chasing, hating half the people in town and plotting to fine them $250. That's really, I'm glad that entertains them, but everybody else is a little bored of it, to tell you the truth. And, I would love to see some kids, we have talented people around here that do things with kids. I was talking to somebody the other day about doing paper, getting paper. They wanted to do paper mache. She's an artist. But you don't even have to reinvent the wheel. It's right there. You just borrow it from someplace like Central Point. It doesn't cost. It's not really. You could get a volunteer to do that. And if they had that kind of outreach to the people in the community, instead of having their face turned toward these imaginary Olympians that are going to come in here and do what? Give us all $10. I mean, don't people have jobs? People have jobs. Don't need the Olympics to come here, and the business district, they can handle themselves. They do better without, they would like the streets clean. I watched a guy trip on the sidewalk the other day and thought, God, I'm glad that is not in front of my house. He just freaking went on the ground. And if we can't have a council that pays attention to these rudimentary things that any mature council does, then there's really not that much to talk about because they're not paying attention. And this silly thing that just got pulled again, I hope that somebody of the new counselors, maybe Malia, maybe Mr. Rigney, can do their homework before they start repeating things, because the Whitewater Park, he wanted to do that on his own. I mean, he got what he wanted in the master plan. It's in writing what his original plan was get that engineering study from Meridian, and he was going to go out and get his private investors. Not okay. He's had the town on hold 15 years. Oh, they need to get the riparian way thing dealt with. It's really too bad because they have an opportunity to help the homeowners in this town. That's a critical thing. There are X amount of building homes that are on the river that are subject to some pretty onerous regulations. However, with good planning, you could go in, and we were discussing this, in these meetings before Mr. Palmer led his little coup and got rid of the people in City Hall that were, working, and then replaced them with people who didn't do anything. Carol Home came to the meeting. Joe Fraser came. Different people. That there was a lot of people at the meeting, and what we were essentially going to try was to put out a plan where we, the city, extended its sewer system towards the three. There's 3 giant trailer courts with septic systems dumping in the river. And in exchange for getting our homes, our property owners, the Gold Hill property owners that are on the river, get them grandfathered in. I believe, and if I'm wrong, Carol, I wish Carol Home would come to a meeting. She's so smart and she has such goodwill. And she said that if they adopted the riparian way as it is, that line goes in her living room. Okay, so that's not good. And it needs to be dealt with because there's properties outside the city that want to be annexed in. Can't do anything. But we could present it. We could present it to the county and see if that they would let us check that box. If we and have an educational element, for the property owners to show them what, like they have little flyers and stuff and print them and say, here's your these are your native plants, and and just try to exchange it because we don't have that many houses that are in that, and we shouldn't throw those people under the bus if we don't have to. However, if we don't act proactively, what'll happen is the day will come when there's somebody outside of town or somebody needs a development, and they'll just pass the riparian way just like it is, and nobody will care about those people. Just say, oh, screw it, this is growth, we need to do it. That'll happen. But if we acted now, we could maybe do something for those property owners, even including my little nemesis there, Mr. Rigney, whose house is got to be affected by it. That is smart. That is smart to do that, is to, try to negotiate for our property owners, because I believe that the largest amount of square footage interfacing the river actually belongs to the city. That's where the rub was. The people with the Whitewater Park didn't want us to put our public lands into best practices because they were afraid it would interfere with their plans. So they literally have kept the city. We can never make up the urban growth that we've lost. We were allowed to have urban growth, and it was exponential. So whatever you had, it was, we can never make up that, but we could, but yeah, we could just go annex in 11 acres, down one side of town that we have all the utilities for, and he wanted to, subdivide that into, I think, R1s, but maybe it was R2. Anyway,
is the riparian way something you would like on the next meeting agenda for the citizens to discuss?
Well, if you're going to make a planning effort, I don't want to say planning committee because that's got a distinct. If you're going to make a planning They're the planning commission. If you're going to make a committee, a land use committee, right? Absolutely, it should be on the first thing. It's such an interesting project, and it's such an opportunity to get a win-win. You know, and you know what? If it was 15 years ago and Steve didn't want, and he still had that objection, that'd be one thing. We're 20 years down the road, man. You know, and he shouldn't. It's selfish of him to be asking everything in the city now to wait for him to see. You know, that's just selfish. It's hurt the city.
We're coming up on 7 o'clock. I'm not sure how long we want to discuss, but I would like to give anyone who has any closing thoughts or things that you would like on the next agenda an opportunity to speak. You do have until 15 days before the next meeting, which would be June 15th, to let me or Jessica know what you guys would like on the next agenda meeting. This is our first meeting, so I am hoping that more people will attend the next one and that we can continue to keep this going.
So with only 3 people, are we going to be able to make any kind of decision about the future of our town being tourist or family?
What we can do is we can continue this to the next meeting as well. I think that honestly, personally, from my perspective as a counselor, I think that more than 3 people need to have their input. I'm not sure how to reach out to citizens to get more citizens to come and participate. I know Christine Alford had the suggestion that the next meeting maybe be outdoors in order and in person so that more people would be able to show up. I do understand that sometimes this digital conversation can be a little difficult for some people.
Yeah, so I do have those t-shirts coming for you, Christine. Christine, you still there?
She's switching over.
Okay.
There's 2 at Christine's house.
What was I saying? Oh, Elizabeth, I really just gave you that money so that you could get some more t-shirts and then either sell them to people or give them to them so that you could just get some little momentum going.
Oh,
So that's, you know, yeah, so we'll see. I think people are recovering from the water line break. That was pretty exhausting. You know, and also, you know, a lot of times people just want to complain about stuff.
yeah.
You know, but I do think I am really interested in Patty Gordon and her friend Jan, the real estate. I think those guys are power hitters, you know, as far as their input, and that'll be good because especially with a business person, you know, they're both business people. So they're definitely not against tourism, but smart development, they always tell you to aim for the best interests of the families. No, fly by that's solid. It's solid, and people just find it boring. You know,
And that's where the dollars are. Okay, it's with families. I mean, for instance, the dollars in Hollywood, the movies that make money are the ones that are oriented towards the families. That's you know, that's just a common knowledge. And I'm not, and the other thing is, it's looking towards the future of our country to support our youth and their activities. I mean, that's what the sports park is all about. We've got basketball, we've got baseball, we've got tennis out there, we've got the skate park. And so there's yeah. And those are wonderful things, and we need to build on what we've already got out there. For instance, the baseball diamond for parking. They have no parking out there. They had a huge tournament here, This was before the pandemic, and it brought people from all over Oregon for that. And that was awesome. And that's the kind of thing that our sports park is meant for. And we need to keep that momentum going. And so I'd really like to see us build on the momentum we have. I mean, having the Whitewater thing, I mean, the Whitewater guys, yeah, have some classes, teach the kids how to do that stuff. I mean, I know they're all thinking that the Olympics is the goal that they want to go to. But you know what? As an events planner, the Olympics do not pencil out. They do not. They never have. There's only one Olympic venue that I know of that has ever penciled out and made money for that town after they were gone, and that is in Utah. And that was the snow thing, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but there's a ski lift and everything. Yeah, and it has done really well, but it's the only one. The other ones usually end up falling into disrepair because that's what happens with infrastructure. Infrastructure has to be maintained, and it takes a lot of money to do that. And so that's something that we need to think about is lightweight on the infrastructure. There's ways to do events without building infrastructure that has to be constantly maintained and costs money and is vandalized and yada yada. Okay, we have a wonderful organization, company in Ashland called Noah Leslie. They will come out and they will set up tents, they'll set up generators, they'll set up electrical, they'll set up everything you need to do any size event. Noah Leslie is known all over the West Coast for their quality events. And so that's the direction we should be going, not trying to build some kind of permanent infrastructure that then needs to be maintained. I mean, just talk to all of the fairgrounds across the state. Josephine, Jackson, the state fairgrounds in Salem, and what a nightmare it is after all these years to try to keep those buildings up to date. It just doesn't happen, and like I said, back to the family thing. It's the most important part, looking towards the future. If the kids grow up remembering what a wonderful park and wonderful things were going on here, they're going to build on that, and that's what we need. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, because
It's taking care of the families first. It doesn't get in the way of those other plans. So I don't know why they don't have to be pitted against each other. My kids and my grandkids came into town to compete, had the SUP boards, stand up paddle boards, and went out there on Wednesdays and stuff. They're not, I don't see them antagonistic to each other. I think that the rafting had lived up to everything that it, I don't understand why the other interests are on the back, shelf. It's just it's childish. It's immature. It's playing for work. That's all. And I think that we will do better with an outdoor meeting if we don't get mugged. If we can get to that meeting without getting mugged. Thank you, Jessica, for listening in. I know she's in there.
She is. She's
You were very
she's
welcome.
enjoying not running a meeting for once.
Kidding.
In looking forward to the next meeting, which will be June 15th at 6 p.m. Again, you have until June 1st to ask for anything that you would like on the agenda. Is there a location that would be convenient for citizens to meet that you all think would be a good place to hold that meeting?
I would have just had it in the city park. In the park by the library. That's nice.
So the library park down there in downtown?
Yes, that's what I was going to say too.
Yeah, I don't know where.
Yeah, that's a great spot.
Jessica, have we looked into any kind of outdoor meeting infrastructure? I know the mayor was asking about chairs and tables.
Actually, yes. As a matter of fact, I just got some grant money and it's all being purchased. All of the gazebos and tables and chairs. Yes, I scored some grant money and it's happening. So we will have all that for the next meeting.
I think
good.
that'll be very convenient to have sitting and things like that for people.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna close the meeting, but I will say that I will be here June 15th, the Library Park at 6 p.m. for the next Citizen Involvement Committee. If anyone would like to have something added to the agenda, they can email me at danielley@cityofgoldhill.com. Jessica, will you also be accepting emails for agenda items? You're muted.
I always forget to mute. I said, yeah, absolutely. Or just come by City Hall and write it down on a scrap of paper, whatever.
So I do realize that the Zoom meetings are awkward. Hopefully in June that'll be different. I will also say that while the charter does mandate that these are bi-monthly, if there is something that is more immediate that the citizens would like to be discussed in the next month, say May, contact me. Jessica and I will discuss whether or not we will be able to accommodate that.
I didn't catch that.
Meeting.
Yeah, I didn't catch that you were doing it. This citizen involvement, they can schedule a meeting whenever they want. So I'm for having a meeting sooner. The weather is nice. I don't think it should go out till June. I definitely think there should be one in May because it's just, there is interest and the people are just going to have to be coaxed out into, now we used to, and the Grange did this and the IOF did it, but see, the Grange used to do it and they used to have that chicken and bingo. Now that brings people out, okay? People that don't even like each other, sit next to each other. And Gus used to think that it was because of Caillou, but it definitely was the chicken and the bingo. Jessica, you can ask your husband about it. It was always it always brought people out. You never really knew, but the kids could play bingo. And that was like, you know, that was something that was like a goodwill thing that everybody in town did. And it, you know, and it wasn't, you know, anyway, that's an idea. But yes, I do think, I don't know, what about anybody else? That's my opinion is you should definitely have a meeting in May. You should not let it skip over.
I will sit here for an hour as often as anyone wants.
I just pulled up the code book and see where it says that. It says that you can call a special meeting in case of emergency, but it says that you're encouraged to just do your regularly scheduled meeting.
No, I know that they can, the people in attendance, can. I would say not having a citizen involvement committee for 3 years when it is a critical element of your land use decisions. Right now, any land use decision that the city wants to enter into, you can take the fact that they have no citizen involvement committee, and you can take that to wherever you go and say, you know what, these guys are not playing by the rules, and undermine it. So this really actually is a critical. You sort of ran into it in the thing with the Parks Master Plan the other day, when they found out, you know, oh, here are these, you know, 30, you know, this is a real rule.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I thought we were adjourning, so.
We are adjourning. Anyone who would like to request it for the next month, please email me, and we will see if we can accommodate that. As it is right now, it is set for June 15th. But if it is required, or if citizens are requesting it, I will do it on May 15th. So if you would like that to happen, please email me. And other than that, yes, we are adjourning for the evening. Thank you for everyone that did.
Good night, everybody.
Did attend.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.